From Bangkok, we're going up into the north of the country, up to Chiang Mai, where we're going to be seeing working elephants. These elephants are working elephants, but they're not working at their normal job. The normal job for a Thai elephant, at least traditionally, has been logging. Thailand was very big in the teak wood business at one time, but that timber has been largely cut out, and it is now illegal to log any of the Thai teak wood. Now, teak wood does come up for sale in Thailand every once in a while, and teak wood logging is not illegal in Burma, and so it's usually sold as Burmese teak wood as opposed to Thai teak wood. There's always some question, though, as to whether or not there was illegal logging going on. We happen to be at the Thai Elephant Conservation Center. This center is dedicated to protecting the elephants, and they take care of them. They have a hospital here and things like that. There's also a school here for mahouts. If you're interested in becoming a mahout, that is taking a short course, 2 or 3 days, you can come in and do that, and a lot of Europeans do. The first thing of the day, of course, is to give the elephant a bath. The second thing, though, is to put on a show where the mahout demonstrates what the elephant can do. Now, you can tell by looking at the audience that this is not primarily tourists. This is the situation. The Thai kids have come in. It's just kind of a school outing day, and they've come to see their elephants. Well, the first thing that happens, of course, is that the elephants stride into the field. And then the next thing is that the mahouts line up their elephants and they show them off by having the elephants do little curtsies or bows. The elephant show is not solely this cutesy stuff. Instead, they frequently show you some normal elephant behaviors and how the elephants were used in the logging industry. This next is a normal elephant behavior. Elephants know how to do this instinctively. This is a log, and the elephant can walk along the log, and not only walk along it, it can actually turn around on the log. The Elephant Conservation Center is run by the Forest Industry Organization. It was set up in 1969, originally as a location for young elephants to be trained. This elephant moving the log has tusks, and that tells you that this is a male elephant. With Indian elephants, only the males have tusks, the females do not. With African elephants, both sexes may have tusks. These elephants have no trouble moving these little sticks around. It's no problem for them at all. However, the elephants have been trained for real logging, and that means that they work in teams, or at least they can work in teams to move logs. One word you're hearing the announcer say often is the word chang, and that happens to be the Thai word for elephant. Notice that the elephants have no trouble moving in reverse. And in this next scene we see a more traditional log pulling system using chains. Incidentally, I noticed that all of these elephants appear to be fairly young. Now, there is a way that you can tell the age of an Indian elephant, or at least you can get an approximation. If the elephant is entirely gray, it's likely to be quite young. But if when you see the face and the nose and the ears, you see a certain amount of pink breaking through the gray, then that elephant is probably a little bit older. It's a little bit like a human being having gray hair. I imagine that these elephants are only barely aware that they're pulling something. Those little logs are so small and so light that these elephants must have absolutely no trouble pulling them. You've seen elephants move logs with their tusks, and you've seen them pull them with chains now. But that's not the only way that the elephants can maneuver the logs around. This one is using its trunk, and it's going to be using its feet as well from time to time to move that little log around.
Very soft trunk. Oh, good, Jojo. Bravo. Jojo is a husband school. Very soft trunk. And Song Lake. Wow.
To keep the audience entertained, they've taught the elephants some tricks that elephants don't normally know how to do. In this case, the elephant is basically playing a xylophone. He's got a stick in his trunk, and he seems to actually be enjoying himself quite a bit. In another case, they've got an elephant that is painting.
He's smart. He understands me what I say. Hey. Okay, let's take
Painting is quite a trick for an elephant because elephants are basically at least colorblind, and so the mahout is there picking out the particular color, and the elephant is dabbing it onto the canvas. The finished product is actually miraculously well done. In addition to painting and playing musical instruments, they've also taught the elephants to play some ball games like soccer.
นี่แน่นี่แน่เตะอย่างนี้ต้องเตะอย่างนี้ You pack a great shoot มีหลอกด้วยนะครับมีหลอกจังหวะรอนะครับโอ้โห
The goalie is really remarkably effective.
นาลีนะครับ You save on correct โอเคเอาตัวนี้เป็นผู้รักษาประตูได้ดีแล้วจะเป็นดาวยิงได้ไหม Let's see Manali is the best goalkeeper. Make your get shot. Okay.
In addition to training elephants and training mahouts and running the show, the Conservation Center also has a hospital. In their hospital, they have a very small elephant. It's in their nursery, and this elephant is less than a month old. In fact, we were told it's 20 days old. This next youngster is a little bit older, and he has learned how to use his trunk fairly effectively, playing with that tire there, and we're going to be able to see that he's going to be able to manipulate that tire quite well. This elephant accidentally drops the tire outside of the fence, and he has a little bit of difficulty getting it back in. Oh, good heavens, he might work this out. These next elephants are family owned, and we're going to be taking a ride on them. These elephants are owned by the Karen tribesmen. The Karen tribesmen are the ones that traditionally do own and operate the elephants, and the elephants are trained to respond to the Karen language. Generally speaking, each Karen family owns one elephant, and so this elephant is very much like the family tractor. Everyone bought some fruit to feed the elephant on this trek, and the elephants, of course, know the routine. The result is the elephant takes a couple of steps and then he asks for some more fruit. From this scene, you'd think elephants don't like water. This one doesn't seem to want to get his feet wet. As I said, the elephants are owned and operated by the Karen tribe, and so we're going to a Karen village next. This is a Karen woman showing a European how to do traditional weaving, the way that the Karen do it at least. When the girl first asked to see if she could try her hand at the weaving, the lady was somewhat horrified because the piece she was working on was fairly delicate, so she switched the piece around to one that was less important, I think. These guys are selling homemade Karen cowbells. The Karen are one of the northern hill tribes that came in from Burma. But the thing that makes the Karen most famous is that this is the tribe that has the long-necked ladies. That is, the ladies that wear the brass rings around their neck for so long and under such tension that it actually makes their necks look like they're growing longer and longer. The fact is, those rings cannot be removed, or she would have some problem holding her head up. The neck is not actually growing longer, but those rings are forcing her shoulders down unnaturally. Next, we're trying our hand at the traditional hunting weapon, the crossbow. Our people turned out to be actually pretty good shots with this thing. We were told not to hit the chickens, and we didn't. We got the target every time. It did occur to me, however, that this weapon had very little striking power. It might be quite good against birds, but other animals might be more resistant to it. So I asked the guide whether or not they tipped the arrows with poison. He was a little bit embarrassed, but admitted that they did. Like the Thai, the Karen people build their houses up on stilts so that the living quarters are about a story above the ground level. However, the village that we're going to now is a Hmong village, and here they do not build them up on stilts. Hey, I think that's my mom's treadle sewing machine. The next thing that we're doing is we're going out rafting. We're going out on a river and sailing down the river on a bamboo raft. Now this isn't going to be white water that we're going to be looking at. Nevertheless, you're likely to get wet. They're building the rafts here. They're putting the bamboo poles together and lashing them. Like I said, though, you're almost certain to get wet. And so there's no shoes and socks, and the camera's not going to be able to go with me either.
Para que se vaya.
Nobody makes it through dry, and some people come through this experience absolutely soaked. Man overboard. At the end of the trip, they break the bamboo rafts back down into individual poles, and they transport them back up to the launch site again for reassembly. Next, we're doing dinner theater. We're doing classical dances, followed by some hill tribe and folk dances. One classical dance is called the Magic Fowls dance. This is actually part of an ancient tragic opera. The story was set to poetry by either a king or a crown prince about 500 years ago, and it's believed to have been based on a true story about two feuding principalities from around 1100 AD. The tragedy takes place near the end of the feuding period when two heroines, two sister princesses, loved the same hero, one Fra Law, the king of another city. So they ask a very powerful wizard to cast a spell to bring Fra Law to them. The spell appears as beautiful magic fowls to lure Fra Law to follow them to the princess's city, to passionate love, and to the dooms of these three lovers, by the command of the heroine's vengeful stepmother, because her husband, the heroine's grandfather, was killed by the hero's father in battle. The deaths of the lovers shock the two cities into reconciliation. This may sound vaguely familiar. After the classical dances are over, we went and saw some hill tribe people performing their dances. The hill tribe people in these dances are genuine. They're not city people simply dressed up as hill tribe people. This dance is called Ma Jok Kok, and it reminds me of kind of a combination of skipping rope and hopscotch. Next, the pattern is changed slightly. The next dance is the King Gala dance. Now, King Gala is the king of the birds. This is an old Shan myth. Shan, incidentally, is the word that we corrupted into the word Siam. So the country was originally named after this particular tribe. I'm not entirely sure just exactly what the storyline is here on the King of the Birds, because we're about ready to see a very unusual creature.